The newspaper said, "Help wanted. You're qualified." But the employment manager said no, because although you are qualified, you're epileptic. People are of... And so, another good job is gone.
Otherwise normal people who are subject to epileptic seizures are faced with a tremendous problem. These seizures vary in intensity from person to person, and the resulting social and economic problems vary accordingly. One of the centers for the hospitalization of epileptics is near Woodward, Iowa. The Woodward State Hospital and School is located in Boone County in central Iowa, 1/2 mile north of the town of Woodward, about 32 miles northwest of Des Moines. This institution was opened in 1917 and was originally designed to care for 500 epileptic patients. In 1921, due to the urgent need for additional facilities for the care of the feeble-minded of the state, the institution was expanded to include this group and now cares for more than 1,600 patients, including epileptics from the entire state and feeble-minded from the northern half of the state. Tonight, to deal first with the epileptic problem, we find that approximately 1/4 of those who are institutionalized are not mentally deficient, but have normal or above average intelligence. To better acquaint you with the problems of these otherwise normal people, I would like you to meet Louis Putnam, who lives at the hospital and operates a radio repair shop in Woodward. Louis, how long have you been at the hospital in Woodward?
About 12 years.
How long have you had epileptic seizures?
Since about 1927. However, I have had the premonition ever since I can remember.
What do you mean by premonition, Louis?
It's, well, if anyone you'll speak to who has them will mention it to you, it's a feeling you have just previous to the seizures.
You sort of feel that it is coming on?
Yes, it's a feeling.
What age were you when you had your first seizure?
I was 17 when I had the first actual seizure.
Well, now, how can you tell? I mean, you said that you felt those before, and after you started having them, you had the same feeling.
It's a feeling more or less comparable to fear.
Mm-hmm. Now, and you had those all your life,
yes,
up until you were 17. What were you able to do with your training, Louis?
My training.
Did you go on to school and get training and so forth?
I went to radio school after 1927.
I see. You were having your seizures then.
Yeah.
Have those increased?
The frequency has increased.
You went to radio school and learned to study radio and so forth. Now, it must have been a terrific adjustment to you when you found that this condition.
Well, it's the same I expect with everyone who has them. You find that you have them, and you become aware of the fact that you're going to have to put up with them and simply adjust yourself to them.
Have you been able to work regularly, with the exception of the times when you have the seizures?
Yes, I have.
And you operate your own shop?
Yes.
There. Well, thank you, Louis. I know that the time that we have spent here with you hasn't been nearly enough to cover the problem of epilepsy, but we did want you to meet someone who has adjusted himself to it and who is operating a business of his own. Now, the largest activity at Woodward State Hospital and School is with the mentally deficient, aside from the epilepsy. Mental deficiency takes on several forms and degrees of deficiency. While I was visiting at Woodward, I talked with Miss Elsie Seymour, staff psychologist. Among other things, I asked Miss Seymour what types of mental deficiency were most common.
The simple type, or what we call the garden variety, is the most numerous, Mr. Stewart, and a large percentage of them belong to that class.
You say you can't,
There are no particular physical characteristics or stigmata that marks them
I see.
as being feeble-minded.
Could I see one of those
Yes,
types?
I think you could. Miss Pierce, would you bring in some of the children? Little Esther. This little girl is one of our brighter ones. Do you want to turn
Esther
around?
right over here next to me. How would you like that? Say she's a blonde.
Esther, yes, and she is 2 years and 11 months old, and she belongs to the moron level.
Now, I'm interested in knowing how you can tell a child like this is retarded.
Well, we have standardized tests that go down to the 2-year level, and even below that, we can get some idea of their motor and sensory responses. And if they start speech and show some social responses. Now let's see, Esther, will you show me the dolly's hair? That's it.
Yes.
And where are the dolly's eyes? Yes. And where are the dolly's hands? Yes. Do you like the dolly?
Well, now, you think this represents about the most common type. What are some of the
Yes.
other types?
We have a great variety of types. I can show you a few of the most outstanding,
Right.
perhaps. The next one is that I can show you is a little Mongolian, and little Sandra is.
What are the characteristics
She's
of a
5
Mongolian?
years. And come over here, Sandra, will you please?
You want to stand right here
Right
by
over
me?
here. The characteristics. The rather small head, the depressed nose bridge, and the tongue is rather large, or else it's pointed. And the hands are spatulate, and the little finger curves inward, and very sharp, stubby hands. And there usually is a crease, deeper crease than usual across their hands.
Well, what is the standard? I mean, about what level of intelligence?
Well, most of them are at the imbecile level, and this little girl is. Their joints are very hyperextensile. They're rhythmical, they love music, and they mimic people.
Now, and then what another type is?
Well, another type is the cretin, which is due to a lack of thyroxine. Hello, Charles.
This boy's name is Charles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And how old are you, Charles? Tell Mr. Stewart.
23.
23 years old.
And you see the dwarfed stature, and it also indicates a dwarfed mind, and some irregularities in the shape.
What do you do, Charlie, over there at the school?
Oh, I make maps.
You work with art and
Yeah.
things like that. What is the level of Charlie here?
They're usually about the imbecile level, perhaps the high imbecile.
Thank you, Charlie, very much.
Then we have the cranial anomaly group, and there are quite a number in that group. I'll show you one, John, who is a microcephalic.
Microcephalic. Hi, John. How are you?
Okay.
What are the characteristics there?
The small-sized head. The head rarely develops beyond 17 inches in circumference. And not only the small size, but also the slanting forehead. And sometimes it comes to an apex. Otherwise, there isn't, sometimes they're rather ungainly and shambling in their gait, but otherwise there are not any particular physical characteristics.
What level of intelligence is you expect?
Most of them are at the imbecile level, too. And there are, John has 2 brothers, who are at Woodward also.
Could run in the family.
Yes. Yes. There are the two types. Some of them are familial because of the occurrence of more than one in the family, and it also may be due to exogenous causes such as drugs or X-ray treatment during pregnancy of the mother.
John, what do you do over there at Woodward?
Work in the laboratory.
Oh, that's right. I made some pictures in the laboratory. You do a good job over there.
Sure.
Well, thank you very much, John, for coming out. Okay. We'll see you again sometime.
And there's one more type that I'd like to show you, and that is
what
they're so called because of the rather grotesque appearance. This is Lee.
Hi, Lee.
And
now, what is the cause of this?
That is a disturbance of the lipoid. It's a lipoid disturbance. And that is the fatty tissues of the nerve cells, and it affects almost every part of the body.
Oh, I see. This is prenatal too?
Congenital, yes.
Congenital.
Yes.
Now,
see, one of the characteristics that you may find is this syndactylism of the hands.
Sort of
also
webbed.
Of the feet.
Is that webbed?
Yes.
His hand isn't webbed now.
Well, he's had an operation out of city, so that it makes it possible for him to use his hand. And he does quite a few things. Do you want to tell us what you do, Lee?
I help with ward, play baseball.
Help on the ward? And he plays ball, too. He catches.
You like to play ball?
Another thing you want to see is usually the ears and the bushy hair and eyebrows, and the teeth very often are affected, and the cornea of the eyes.
I see. How old is Lee?
He's 21.
He's old enough to vote, then. Well, now, what is his level of...
That is imbecile also.
Most of these groups go in that level,
yes,
then, do they?
the simple type, you find more of them at the moron level. And the causes of all of these, it's very difficult to determine. It's partly heredity and partly environment, and the mixture of both of them, particularly with the simple type.
I see. Now, this doesn't represent all of the types.
No, not by any means. There are a great many other types.
For instance? I mean, could you go into any of those other?
Well, there are many more of this cranial anomaly. There's also the hydrocephalic, which is the very large sized head that is difficult to show or to bring in. And the hyperteluric is another type. And macrocephalic, those are the cranial anomalies. And there are several other types. They're not a homogeneous group in any way. They differ in their physical characteristics, their mental characteristics, their personality, and their social and economic backgrounds.
The care and training of these children is, as you can see, a very specialized and a very important task. I made a very complete tour of the wards and facilities of Woodward State Hospital some time back in the company of Bob Allen, who is the assistant male supervisor. In one of our ward visits, we stopped to talk with Mrs. Irene Callahan, who is the supervisor of Westwood Cottage. We joined Mrs. Callahan with some of the children in one of the cottage day rooms. What types of children are in your cottage, Mrs. Callahan?
At Westwood, we have children of the higher mental level or school children.
What about your school children? Are they, what ages and about how many do you have?
Well, we have approximately 100, and I would say they start at the habit training age up through the age of 17.
Are these children very hard to care for?
Well, I can't say they're any harder than normal children once you're accustomed to them.
You just have more of them.
Yes, more of them.
And they're all girls in that
yes.
In that cottage
all
there.
Girls.
Now, how do they all eat right there in the cottage? Do they have their dining halls?
Mm-hmm. We have 2 dining rooms there.
How many attendants do you have to have in your building to care for these children at one time?
We try to have 4 on each floor, and there's 3 floors in that building.
3 floors. So that would take, you'd need a good many attendants all the way through. And do you have children of all mental levels in your cottage?
They are a little mixed, although it's tried to be kept.
Mostly of the better grades. I noticed down in the basement there were some of the lower grades. Well, how long have you been over there?
Well, I've been there 5 years.
Now, in caring for these children, I can realize the problems that you must have and the specialized work and so forth of going into it. How do you like your work in caring for these?
I like it. And I think that the longer anyone's in this work, the better they'll like it, and there's something new and different that they can learn every day.
All of the people who are involved in the care of these children are important people. To help you understand more of the needs of these mentally deficient children, I have asked Miss Seymour to come in for a discussion of their special problems. Miss Seymour, what can you do for these children?
Well, of course, one of the main things of a psychology department is to diagnose the patients and find out what their mental level is, their personality, their emotional maturity, and any special aptitudes or disabilities that they may have, and then make recommendations for treatment or for their training or for their work.
Well, now, what specifically, maybe you answered it there, but what specifically are you able to determine from those tests?
Well, we can tell much better than the snap judgment of a person's mental level, their intelligence, and also a good deal of their general reaction to any situation. If they have some personality defects or trouble in adjustment, we are pretty sure to find it out in our test period. Of course, we do like to see these, when we do find some special difficulties that a child has, we like to have the treatment that we know they should have available. That is
How are you able to teach them or to treat them, as the case might be?
Well, of course, we recommend that they be placed in school if they are, if we think that they could profit by that training, or if they need special speech therapy or special reading, remedial work in reading. We have one patient who came in recently who has an IQ of 80 and yet he cannot read, and we have arranged for one of the teachers to give him special remedial work. And we have many that come in that have reading difficulties.
How are you able to work very closely with the teacher? Is that a function of your department?
Well, at times it is, and it's going to be more. I'm going to have more of that work to do, I think, as I have help with the regular routine testing. And at present, I do have some help.
And you make your tests available, though, to that teacher, or do you just assign them?
No, I send a report over to the director of the academic education.
Do you have any special therapies or things that you do yourself?
Yes, I do, and I think if I had to give up the testing or the therapy, I would give up the testing. I think the therapy there is very important.
What is the nature of that?
Well, I have the group psychotherapy and individual psychotherapy and play therapy and activity.
What can you do in that group therapy?
We have to use different techniques from what they do use, or emphasize different techniques from what they do in some situations. I cannot be as permissive or as non-directive as one can with patients who understand more. It has to be more directing and counseling and giving them a pattern.
Is it basically a discussion thing where they discuss problems and
yes,
things?
At a certain level, but with the younger ones it has to be through activities.
And your observation and so forth. Well, there are more facets to the care and training of these children than can possibly be related in a brief program like this. But one of the important phases, as we have brought out, is concerned with the academic training of these children. This institution has a special school which is geared to the special needs of retarded minds. Here they are able to study the things that they need to study at the pace they need to study them. These cards, which you will see here, are a special device for helping them to learn fractions by laying the required number under the direction of the teacher on the board. There are many activities for the children to bring out and develop their skills. This little girl is deaf. There's some consideration that she might be retarded rather than completely deficient. And then, of course, the art class extends to the others in finger painting and various types of activity. The teacher here is showing the children how to count by asking them to hold up certain blocks, hold up 2 blocks, 3 blocks. Now count all of the blocks, and so forth. It's a definite visual aid to teaching. Now they hold up 3 blocks. There's more to the training of these children than you might think. They must be taught how to live in a home. They must learn how to cook and how to sew. Notice in the picture that there are some gray ladies. This lady is helping with a jigsaw puzzle, and here one of the ladies in blue of the American Legion is helping comfort one of the children. There's a beauty parlor operated by the volunteer workers, and as you can see, the volunteer work at this institution is an extremely important thing. This is church school, where the ladies these are the gray ladies, I believe, and this is catechism with the ladies in white. The volunteer workers from all sections come. Here is a student from Ames, the Presbyterian Church, Collegiate Presbyterian Church. The students have been responsible for much work and painting and so forth there. And we made this picture especially to show you the great number of volunteer workers who are busy at Woodward State Hospital and School. This institution has a big program, an institution with many, many activities and efforts. Much is being done at the Woodward State Hospital and School, and the coordinator of all these activities is here with me. She is Dr. Grace M. Sawyer, who is the acting superintendent of the school and hospital. Dr. Sawyer, do you have all of your problems solved?
By no means. We have the problems of the ordinary household, the problems of food, clothing, physical care, health, recreation, sanitation, as well as a large farm, garden, big dairy herd, and so forth. Those things that every farm family have to contend with.
Well, you have to be a lot more than a doctor to manage this thing, don't you?
That's right.
Well, now, what do you consider your biggest need?
At the present time, our biggest need is an increase in the budget, which will provide us with adequate help.
I see.
Help in all areas, from professional down through all the levels of non-professional.
When I visited the ward there, I noticed the very important job that your attendants were doing, but you also have a shortage of doctors as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that the people might be interested in knowing, from your point of view, what you consider the public attitude is toward mentally deficient people.
We find the public attitude to be very sympathetic. We have many visiting groups. The Gray Ladies have carried out the word throughout our central area and have made for a very good feeling toward the institution. We have groups visiting us practically daily. Students, college students, high school students, social workers, doctors, practically every profession, ministers and so forth.
I take it that these visitors are welcome.
They're very welcome. They're urged to come, invited to come back.
You are interested then in promoting public relations. Now, does that help are you able, on these higher type children, to train them so that they can go out into society and earn a living for themselves?
Yes, that has been our policy. Through the years, we have changed, the institution policy has changed from a custodial type policy to a training type policy. For the past 3 to 5 years, we have been placing patients out on work and home placement situations. In the main, these have proved to be quite successful.
Mm-hmm. You would consider your program in that regard very successful?
Generally speaking, yes.
What if I wanted to get one of these children to work for me, say, I would put in an application, contact you?
That's right.
I see.
That would then in turn be turned to the social welfare department, who would make the proper investigations and make the placement arrangements.
It is very encouraging to know that you are able to do more with these children than perhaps you have been able to do in the past. Thank you, Dr. Sawyer, for helping us to understand the institution a little better. We have a little more to this program, but before I go, I would like to tell you that we are presenting this series of programs, and this is the 7th, as a public service to help you become acquainted with our state institutions. We would like to know your activities. So if you would like to write to me, Ray Stewart, here at WOI-TV, I'd be very glad to hear from you concerning the program. We have some children here who would like to entertain for you. They are from the Woodward Hospital, and let's look at them now.
And when my baby smiles at me, my heart goes rama to paradise. And when my baby smiles at me, there's just a wonderful light in her eyes. The kind of light that means just love, the kind of love that means sweet harmony. I sigh, I cry, it's just a glimpse of heaven when my baby smiles at me. And when my baby smiles at me, my heart goes from earth to paradise. And when my baby smiles at me, there's such a wonderful light in her eyes. The kind of light that means just love, the kind of love that means sweet harmony. I sigh, I cry, it's just a glimpse of heaven when my baby smiles at me. Anytime you're feeling lonely, anytime you're feeling blue.
The worst sin towards our fellow creatures is not to hate them, but to be indifferent to them. That's the essence of inhumanity. This has been a public service feature produced in the studios of WOI-TV Ames, Iowa by Ray Stewart. The program was directed by Lamar Smith. Script for In Our Care is prepared by Hazel Allen, with production research by Fern Bonamy. The technical director was Charles Hawley. Portions of the program were on film. Next week, we will present the story of the mental hospitals at Clarinda and Independence. This is Bob Heskett speaking.